Hey Reddit. Throwaway account for obvious reasons, and honestly, I don't know what I'm looking for here. Clarity, advice, maybe just to get this off my chest because it's all way too much for me to process on my own. So, I, 32M, have been with my wife, 31F, for almost 8 years, married for 5. We met through mutual friends, hit it off quickly, and were that annoying couple everyone joked about. Always holding hands, finishing each other's sentences, all that honeymoon phase crap. I thought she was the one. I truly believed that. The first few years were solid. Like really solid. We had the occasional fight, like everyone, but it was always over dumb things, laundry, in-laws, what to order for dinner. Nothing ever serious. She was affectionate, charming, and made me feel like the luckiest guy alive. We built a life together. Got a dog, bought a house, went on spontaneous road trips. You get the idea. The first tiny crack, looking back, was her bachelorette party. It was this wild weekend in Vegas that she insisted I didn't ask too many questions about. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, she joked. Way too many times for it to be funny. I remember feeling a little uneasy, but she brushed it off with that don't be insecure tone that makes you feel like you're the crazy one for even being slightly worried. She came back from that trip a little different, just a little more distant. She jumped every time I picked up her phone. She suddenly had a passcode on it, which she didn't before. And when I asked, she said it was because of work stuff. She worked in marketing, not MI6. But love makes you stupid, right? I chalked it up to pre-wedding stress and let it go. Little did I know, that weekend was the beginning of something I wouldn't discover until 5 years later. Fast forward to last month. 5 years into our marriage. We were getting ready for a weekend trip to visit her sister, and she asked me to grab her iPad from her home office while she finished packing. No big deal. I grab it, open it up to check the battery, and boom, it wakes up right into her iMessage screen. I swear I wasn't snooping. I didn't even realize her iMessages synced to the iPad. At first, it was just boring group chats, coworkers gossiping, her sister asking about a baby shower, the usual. But then I noticed one conversation labeled, Vegas girls women with bunny ears party popper. And something about that dumb emoji combo triggered a weird pit in my stomach. I scrolled up. Most of it was harmless. Planning drinks, reminiscing about old times. But then I saw a message from her friend Kelsey that said, I still can't believe you actually slept with that stripper LMAO. Wildest night ever. I froze. I kept reading, hoping it was a joke. Please be a joke. But no. There was a whole thread from like 2 years ago where they were laughing about Marco the fireman and how crazy my wife was that night. One of them said, it was supposed to be a lap dance, not a lap baby face with tears of joy. And another replied, good thing you dodged a bullet with that scare. What the actual F*******. My heart dropped into my stomach. My ears were ringing. I didn't know if I was going to throw up or pass out. I stared at the screen, reading it over and over again, hoping it would change. Didn't. She cheated on me. At her ing bachelorette party. With a stripper. And then lied to my face for 5 years, played the doting wife, while her little group of bridesmaids treated it like a running joke. I didn't confront her right away. I put the iPad back, played it cool, went on the trip like nothing happened. I needed time to think, to breathe, to not explode in front of her sister's kids. But I knew everything had changed. Alright, so here's where everything really started to unravel. We got back from the trip on a Sunday night. I'd spent the whole weekend with this gnawing pit in my chest, pretending everything was fine. She was acting normal, laughing, texting, even trying to initiate sex that night. I told her I was tired. I wasn't tired. I was barely holding it together. Monday afternoon, I came home from work early. I couldn't take it anymore. I had rehearsed what I was going to say in my head a dozen times. But when I saw her sitting there on the couch scrolling TikTok like the last 5 years of our marriage hadn't been a lie, I lost it. I walked in and said, we need to talk. She looked up and immediately clocked the tone. What's wrong? She asked. I didn't waste time. I said, I saw your messages with the Vegas girls. I know what you did at your bachelorette party. She stared at me like I'd just spoken another language. Then, classic move, she laughed. Laughed. Are you serious right now? That was just stupid drunk girl talk. You really think I'd sleep with a stripper? God, you sound paranoid. I said, so it didn't happen? She paused. Too long. Then she went with, it was a joke. We were just messing around. You know how girls exaggerate stuff. I pulled out the iPad, opened the messages, read them back to her word for word. Her face changed. You know that look people get when they realize there's no way out and the walls are closing in? That? She tried to grab the iPad, saying I was invading her privacy, and I told her she lost the right to that the second she made me marry her under false pretenses. Eventually, the truth started to leak out, not all at once. Bit by bit. First, she said he kissed her. Then, it was fine, we fooled around a little. Then it was okay, we had sex, but it didn't mean anything. And finally, I was drunk, it was a one-time thing, and I regretted it immediately. She said she didn't tell me because it would have ruined everything and it meant nothing and we were already practically married. She said if I really loved her, I wouldn't let one stupid mistake ruin our life. I asked her if she would have married me if she knew I'd at a stripper at my bachelor party. She didn't answer. After the confrontation, it was like someone pressed mute on my life. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I just sat there numb. I remember looking at her face and realizing I didn't recognize it anymore. This was the woman I was planning to grow old with? The one I used to write little notes for and leave in her lunch bag? The one I stayed up with when her mom was sick, who I held when she cried over stupid rom-coms? Now all I could see was the person who let me walk down the aisle in a tux, smile at my family, say vows she didn't mean, while knowing she had a secret like that. I couldn't be in the same room with her. I grabbed a jacket, left the house, drove around for hours. Didn't even know where I was going. Just somewhere. Ended up in a parking lot behind a 24-hour diner, sitting in my car like a zombie. Cried like I hadn't cried since I was a kid. Ugly, snotty, gasping for air crying. The kind of crying that comes from somewhere you didn't even know existed. I kept thinking of that night. The night of the party. Where was I? Oh yeah, I was home. Texting her how much I missed her. Asking if she was having fun. She replied with a heart emoji and miss you too, baby. Meanwhile, she was screwing some guy named Marco the ing fireman, The next few days were a blur. We barely spoke. She tried to talk, but it was always her trying to steer the narrative. Let's not throw everything away over one mistake. Think about everything we've built. Do you really want to be alone? I wanted to scream. But I didn't. I just watched her like a stranger had moved into my house. The gaslighting was constant. She kept saying things like, you're overreacting, and it was before we were technically married, like that made a difference. Spoiler alert, it didn't. Every time I looked at her, I saw that thread. The laughing. The jokes. The dodged a bullet comment. The way she kept that disgusting lie tucked neatly away while we celebrated anniversaries and talked about starting a family. And the worst part? I still loved her. Even through all that, my heart hadn't caught up with my brain yet. And that's what tore me up the most. So yeah, I probably should have stopped digging. But you know how once you find one lie, everything starts looking suspicious? That's where I was. Paranoid. Obsessive. Sleepless. I'd lie in bed next to her at night, eyes open, staring at the ceiling while she snored like she hadn't shattered my reality. One night, I went down the rabbit hole. iPad in hand, I started scrolling through more old messages, emails, photos, whatever I could find. I knew it wasn't healthy, but I needed the whole truth. Or at least as much of it as I could uncover. And then I found it. She had a private photo album on her cloud account. I'm not a tech guy, but she left her iCloud logged in on the iPad, so yeah, that's on her. In it were pictures from the Vegas trip that I had never seen before. Not the cute, filtered ones she posted on Instagram back then. No. These were the raw, drunken, behind-the-scenes ones. And there he was. Marco. The stripper. Shirtless. Abs for days. Dressed in a cheesy fireman costume like straight out of a calendar shoot. And there she was, sitting on his lap, clearly mid-lap dance, clearly enjoying herself. Then the photos got graphic. No actual sex photos, thank God, but definitely her in lingerie with the guy's hands in places they shouldn't have been. And the timestamps? All from the night before our wedding. Let me say that again, the night before our ing wedding. I felt like I was going to black out. My vision literally blurred. This wasn't a drunk oops in the middle of a crazy night. This was planned, photographed, and then hidden. For years. But it gets worse. I kept scrolling and found an email sent to Kelsey a few days after our wedding. It was short, but it hit like a truck. Still can't believe I went through with it, lol. If he ever finds out, I'm toast. Marco was way more fun in one night than my name has been in 5 years, face with tears of joy. That was it. That broke me. I shut the iPad, walked into the bathroom, and threw up. I just sat on the cold tile floor with my head against the tub, trying to process that the woman I loved, the woman I promised to spend the rest of my life with, not only cheated but mocked me for never finding out. And what was I doing the day she sent that email? Unpacking our honeymoon bags, hanging her wedding dress with care, planning our first dinner party as husband and wife. I felt like the punchline of a cruel, twisted joke. So yeah, I wasn't playing nice anymore. I waited until the weekend. I didn't want to blow up on her when we both had work the next day, mostly because I knew whatever happened next would be nuclear. And I needed time to steel myself, make copies of the evidence, talk to a lawyer friend, and most importantly, figure out if I actually wanted to save this marriage. Spoiler, I didn't. That Saturday morning, she was sitting at the kitchen island sipping coffee like we weren't living in a house built on betrayal. I dropped the iPad on the counter next to her. Want to try again? I said. Because now I've got pictures, emails, and a whole lot of questions. She went pale. Like instantly pale. Didn't even touch her coffee. Just stared at the screen like it might burst into flames. I didn't give her time to start spinning more BS. I opened the album. Showed her the Vegas pics. Then pulled up the email to Kelsey. She put her hands over her mouth and whispered, I can explain. No. No, you can't. I asked her straight up. Did you sleep with Marco the night before our wedding? She whispered yes. I asked, did you enjoy it? Silence. Then she said the most soul-crushing, bitchiest thing I've ever heard in my life. It was just different. More fun. We were drunk and it was wild and stupid. But you're the stable one. Like I was some boring backup plan. The safe option. The guy she knew wouldn't leave. I lost it. I told her how disgusting it was that she let me make vows to her, smile in wedding pictures, thank our guests, all while she had this in her back pocket. How she laughed about it with her friends. How she acted like the only mistake was me finding out. She tried crying. Said she was young and scared and didn't want to lose me. She was 26, not 18. And scared people don't ride strippers the night before their wedding. I said, you didn't cheat before we were married. You cheated instead of being faithful. Big difference. She begged me to go to counseling. We can get through this, she said. We're stronger than one mistake. No. We are not stronger. I was just in the dark. I told her I wanted space. She could stay at her sister's. She fought that too, tried to guilt-trip me about abandoning her, but I was done. She packed a bag and left later that day. The house was quiet again. But not peaceful. Just empty. And for the first time in 5 years I slept in our bed alone, but without feeling like I was sleeping next to a stranger. After she left, I thought I'd feel some kind of relief. I thought the silence would bring me peace. It didn't. It just made the betrayal louder. That first week alone was hell. I barely ate. I'd wake up drenched in sweat after dreams of her and Marco, dreams so vivid I could smell cheap cologne and hear her laughing. I'd sit up in bed, heart racing, looking around like I'd just escaped a war zone. I tried therapy. Found someone local through a friend, shout out to Brian, my guy, and booked an emergency session. I broke down in that little office within 5 minutes. I told him everything, from the first red flags to the damn email with the 5 years comment. He didn't judge. He just listened and said something that stuck with me. You're grieving someone who's still alive. That's one of the hardest kinds of grief. And damn, he was right. It felt like I was mourning a death. Only instead of flowers and condolences, I was getting pity texts from people who knew something was off about her but never said anything. Oh yeah, that's another thing. Once I opened up to a few close friends, the floodgates opened. My buddy Chris told me he always thought her bachelorette weekend seemed sketchy. Said her friend Kelsey made a weird joke at our wedding toast, something like, hope tonight's not as wild as last weekend. I remembered that line. I laughed at it. Thought it was just girl talk. Her sister reached out too. Said she was sorry and that she always worried the truth would come out. The truth. So, people knew. Not the full story maybe, but enough. And they all just stood by while I poured my heart into this relationship completely clueless. Then came the phone call. From a number I didn't recognize. New York area code. It was Marco. Yeah, that Marco. He told me he felt guilty. That he saw the whole thing had blown up because apparently one of her friends, I'm guessing not Team Bride anymore, told him I'd found out. He said, look man, I didn't even know she was getting married until after. I'm sorry. I never would have touched her if I knew. Apparently she told him she was newly single and celebrating freedom. She lied to him too, then ghosted him the next day. The guy was actually decent, honest, weirdly respectful. He said he'd had a bad feeling about it ever since. I told him I didn't blame him, it wasn't his vow she broke. After I hung up, I sat there for a while. Then I laughed. Like, full-on psychotic giggle. Because this wasn't just a betrayal, it was a full-blown Shakespearean tragedy, and I was cast as the clueless idiot. But something changed that night. I stopped feeling sorry for myself. I stopped asking why. And I started thinking about what's next. Alright, buckle up, because this is where the gloves fully came off. About 2 weeks after she left, she showed up at the house unannounced. I was watching TV, drinking a sad beer, and trying to act like I had it together. She knocked, didn't even text, and I opened the door to find her standing there with this pathetic little smile like we were about to have a remember how much we love each other moment. Can I come in? She asked. I didn't say yes. I didn't say no. I just stepped aside and she walked in like she still lived there. Sat down on the same couch where I'd spent nights crying over her betrayal like it was hers to return to. She started in with the usual script. I've been thinking a lot. I know I messed up. Can't we just start over? Let's go to counseling, take a trip, something. Then she pulled out the guilt grenade. Do you really want to throw away 5 years over one night? I looked her dead in the eye and said, you didn't throw away one night. You threw away every night that came after, every memory, every anniversary, every I love you, because they were all built on a lie. That shut her up. Then I hit her with it. I'd already spoken to a lawyer. Divorce papers were being drawn up. Clean, no kids, no major entanglements. I offered to be civil, split things fairly, keep it out of court. I wasn't trying to ruin her, I just wanted out. She flipped. She went from sad puppy to raging firestorm in about 5 seconds. Said I was being vindictive, said I was overreacting, accused me of not even trying to fix it. She called me cold. Said I was throwing away a marriage over a meaningless fling. That was the moment. That was when the clarity hit. I looked at her, this woman who had lied, cheated, laughed about it, gaslit me, and still thought she could spin it in her favor, and I realized she was never going to get it. Not really. She didn't regret cheating. She regretted getting caught. I stood up and said, you don't love me. You love the version of me that didn't know. And that guy? He's gone. She left in tears. Slammed the door. I didn't chase her. And for the first time since I found those messages, I felt peace. Not happiness. Not relief. But peace. Like I had taken the first real step out of the wreckage. So yeah, after that last showdown, things moved quickly. I had my lawyer send over the papers. She didn't sign them at first, just sat on them like some kind of emotional hostage situation. Called me a few times late at night, left voicemails with slurred speech, the whole, I miss you, I don't know who I am without you routine. I didn't answer. Not once. I wasn't going to be her plan B just because Plan Marco blew up in her face. But here's the kicker, about 3 weeks after the papers were sent, I get a call from Kelsey. Yup. Kelsey, her best friend, partner in crime, and chief bridesmaid of Betrayal. She told me she felt awful. Said she didn't expect it to go as far as it did that night in Vegas and that she tried to convince my ex to tell me before the wedding. Apparently, the other girls in the bridal party took a don't ask, don't tell approach, classic coward move, but Kelsey said the guilt had been eating at her. She even offered to send me screenshots from her phone of the group chat leading up to the trip. And oh man, it was worse than I thought. They'd planned the stripper hookup. As in, let's get her one last night of wild fun before she gets locked down. There were even jokes like, if he doesn't find out, it doesn't count, LOL. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't even a lapse in judgment. It was premeditated betrayal. That was the final nail. I called my lawyer and told him to file with cause, citing infidelity. Still didn't want to drag her through court, but I wasn't going to let her paint this as a mutual falling out anymore. She finally signed the papers. No apology. No last letter. Just a scribbled signature and a forwarded copy from her attorney. And just like that, 5 years, gone. We were divorced. No more no more anniversary plans. No more future with her name in it. And weirdly, that's when healing actually started. I started running again. Picked up guitar lessons. Reconnected with a few old friends she never liked. Took a solo trip to Colorado, sat at the top of a mountain and breathed in the kind of silence that doesn't feel empty, it feels earned. There were still rough nights, don't get me wrong. You don't just delete love even when it betrays you. But with every day that passed, the image of her, the real her, not the fantasy I'd been clinging to, started fading. And I started coming back into focus. So here we are. the end of this wild ride. If you've made it this far, you're probably wondering if I'm better now, and the answer is yeah, I am. I'm not whole, not yet, but I'm getting there. I'm learning. And most importantly, I'm free. Looking back, I've learned a few hard but important lessons. I don't claim to be an expert, and maybe some of this sounds obvious, but here it goes anyway. Trust your gut. I should have trusted my gut a lot sooner. We all have that little voice that whispers, something's off. I ignored mine because I didn't want to rock the boat. I was so wrapped up in the dream of us that I couldn't see the nightmare starting to form around me. Don't ignore the red flags. They aren't just bad vibes, they're warnings. People will lie to protect themselves even when they love you. I can't tell you how many times she looked me in the eyes and swore to me there was nothing going on. How many times she claimed the stripper was just a fun joke and it meant nothing. But when she was backed into a corner, the truth came out. Trust people to show you who they are. Not the version they think you want to see. You deserve more than half-hearted love. The hardest part? Realizing she didn't love me the way I thought she did. I had built this version of her, of us, in my head that was perfect. But she didn't give me her whole heart. Not when it mattered. And I was worth more than the scraps she threw at me after her fun in Vegas. Healing doesn't happen in a straight line. Some days were better than others. Some days I felt fine. Others I couldn't get out of bed. And that's okay. Healing takes time. You don't just get over someone who betrays you overnight. You have to let yourself feel the hurt, the anger, and then let it go. One day, it'll stop controlling you. But you have to let it. Don't rush yourself through it. Closure comes from within. I never got the apology I wanted. I never got the closure I thought I deserved. But you know what? I gave it to myself. I walked away. I didn't need her to validate my pain or tell me I was right. I knew I was right. And in the end, that's all that matters. The right person won't make you doubt yourself. She was never the one. Not really. The right person doesn't make you question your worth. They don't lie to you or break your heart. They show up for you not just when things are easy, but especially when things get hard. They love you with their whole heart, no reservations, no secrets. And finally, a piece of advice for anyone else going through this: don't settle. Life's too short to spend it with someone who doesn't value you, doesn't respect you, and doesn't love you in the way you deserve to be loved. It's hard to leave, I know. But trust me, once you do, the weight lifts. And that's when you start living again. For now, I'm focusing on me. I'm making new plans. I'm taking things slow, but I'm excited about what's next. The world is bigger than the small bubble I had with her. And now that I can breathe again, I'm ready to see what's out there. Real love. Real happiness. That's the goal. Thanks for listening, Reddit. It's been a hell of a ride, but I'm walking away stronger. If you're in this mess, I promise it gets better. Just take the first step. And that's it. This has been one of the hardest things I've ever written, but honestly, it's been therapeutic. Stay strong, everyone. You're worth more than you think.